There will always be noise in the mind, but stillness begins the moment you realize you are not your thoughts. Share this with the important people in your life. Let them know you care about their peace too. Write this in the comments. Today I lead my mind. It no longer leads me. Your mind is not your enemy, but if left untrained, it becomes a wild storm, reacting, overthinking, fearing, spiraling. The Stoics knew this well. They faced wars, exile, death, and still chose calm. Because real strength doesn't come from controlling everything around you. It comes from mastering what's within. You don't need control, you need clarity. The next time your mind rushes to panic, pause, breathe, watch it from a distance. Don't follow the fear. Don't wrestle the thought. Just watch. Let what you can't change pass through you like wind through open hands. When emotions swell, you don't have to drown. Anchor yourself in the present. Remember, your power is always in your response. You are not weak for feeling lost. You are human, and still within you is the strength to return. Not by force, not by fighting the mind, but by guiding it gently, patiently back to stillness. Pain is not the enemy. Your reaction to pain is what defines your strength. Right now, maybe everything feels too loud, but even in that noise, you can choose to whisper back, I am still. I am here. I am in control. When your thoughts begin to race, you do not need to chase them. When fear knocks at your door, you don't need to answer. There is a space between stimulus and response. The Stoics lived in that space, quietly, firmly, choosing their reaction no matter the storm. So many people think controlling the mind means never feeling anxious, never being angry, never doubting. But that's not Stoic control. Real control is noticing those thoughts and not becoming them. Just letting the wave rise, but not letting it pull you under. You can feel afraid and still walk forward with calm. You can feel overwhelmed and still choose clarity. You can feel the pull of chaos and still stand in your center. Your mind is like a wild horse at first, and the more you tug, the more it resists. But if you sit with it, patiently, gently, it begins to trust, to soften, to listen. Sit with your mind even when it's loud, especially when it's loud. You are not here to escape thoughts. You are here to understand them. You are not here to silence your mind by force. You are here to quiet it through presence. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more discipline. What you need is to slow down and see clearly, because clarity is stronger than force. Stillness is stronger than noise. Presence is stronger than panic. You are not failing when your thoughts spiral. You are simply being invited to return to what matters, to return to what you can control. And what you can always control is this moment, this breath, this step. Let your breath guide your mind, not your thoughts. Your breath. Again, every breath is a chance to come home. Home to awareness, home to calm, home to yourself. You are not broken. You are simply learning how to lead your mind instead of letting it lead you. That's the work. That's the practice. Not perfection, presence. Not force, focus. Not escape, acceptance. Because the more you resist the storm inside you, the louder it becomes. But the moment you sit with it, just sit without judgment, it starts to lose its power. Not because it disappears, but because you stop feeding it. You stop identifying with it. You stop letting it define you. The Stoics taught that the mind is like a garden. If you leave it unattended, weeds will grow. But if you return to it each day, even for a moment, you begin to shape something beautiful. So return, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Return to the stillness underneath the noise. Return to your breath. Return to what you know is true, not what your anxious thoughts say is true. You are not every voice in your head. You are the one who hears them. You are the observer, the stillness, the awareness. And awareness is everything. Awareness turns chaos into clarity, turns pain into wisdom, turns fear into direction. Not by changing what is, but by changing how you relate to what is. You may not be able to stop the storm, but you can become the eye of it. Calm, unmoved, grounded. Not because the world is peaceful, but because you are. That's Stoic strength. That's what you carry. And yes, it takes time. Yes, it takes practice. But every time you choose calm over chaos, you win. Every time you pause instead of reacting, you grow. Every time you return to stillness, you reclaim your power. Not the kind of power that controls others, but the kind that frees you. Because freedom is not doing whatever you want. Freedom is not being ruled by your impulses. Freedom is choosing your response. Freedom is leading your mind even when it resists, especially when it resists. And if you fall, if your mind runs wild again, good. That's another opportunity to come back. That's the beauty of this path. You don't need to get it right every time. You just need to return, again and again, with kindness, with patience, with presence. Control is not a prison. It's a practice. It's the quiet art of noticing your inner world and not reacting blindly to it. The saying, I see the fear, I hear the thought, but I will not give it my power. And when you can say that, even once, you are already free. Not because the fear is gone, but because you're no longer afraid of it. Let the thought pass. Let the feeling pass. Let the moment pass. You are not here to control the storm. You are here to remember who you are in the middle of it. You are still. You are grounded. You are aware. Let every breath remind you, I am not my thoughts. I am the one who watches. I am not my fear. I am the one who chooses. I am not my past. I am the one who creates the next step. Let this become your rhythm. Let this become your truth. And if the mind gets loud again, good, because it means you've been given another chance to rise above it. Not by silencing it, but by listening without attachment. Not by fighting it, but by facing it with presence. Not by running, but by remaining still. Because stillness is not weakness. Stillness is power. Stillness is strength. Stillness is control, the kind that matters. You may not change the thoughts that appear, but you can change the way you meet them. And the way you meet them changes everything. Keep going. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not lost. You're remembering your strength. You're returning to your center. You're learning to lead your mind with softness, not force. With awareness, not fear. With love, not judgment. And that is how you become unshakable. Not because life becomes easy, but because you become steady, unmoved by chaos, untouched by fear, unruled by thought, free, truly free. Just keep returning to your breath, to your stillness, to your choice, to yourself. And slowly, quietly, you'll begin to notice the mind no longer pulls you like it used to. The fear no longer shakes you like it once did. The chaos no longer feels like the end of the world. Because now, you are the one in control. And not by conquering the mind, but by understanding it, by seeing through it, by sitting beside it, calmly, patiently, until it settles on its own. That is Stoicism. That is mastery. That is peace. And it's already within you. It always was. Even the strongest minds wander. Even the most peaceful hearts tremble. Control is not about never falling. Control is knowing how to stand again. Every time you do, you don't need to suppress what you feel. You don't need to pretend you're fine when you're not. What you need is to breathe through it, feel through it, and still choose your path with intention. Because that's what the Stoics did. They didn't run from pain, they studied it. They didn't fight their emotions, they sat with them. They didn't wait for life to become easier, they became stronger within it. And that strength, it didn't come from shouting or force or pressure. It came from clarity, from stillness, from letting go of everything they couldn't control, and focusing on what they could, their choices, their thoughts, their actions, their peace. And so can you. Right now, whatever you're carrying, anxiety, guilt, frustration, fear, you don't need to solve all of it at once. You just need to notice it, acknowledge it, and then decide what kind of person you want to be in the presence of it. That's the true measure of control. Not how little you feel, but how you respond to what you feel. Can you breathe when your mind wants to race? Can you stay still when your thoughts beg you to run? Can you choose kindness when your anger wants to take over? These are the moments that shape you, not when everything is calm, but when your peace is tested. Control isn't about crushing the noise in your head. It's about rising above it. It's about creating distance between you and your impulses, your fears, your doubts. It's about choosing what deserves your energy and what doesn't. Most things don't. Most worries will never happen. Most anger isn't worth it. Most fears lose their power the moment you face them. So pause. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me or hurting me? Is this feeling guiding me or distracting me? Is this reaction aligned with who I want to be? That's self-leadership. That's awareness. And that's the foundation of all control. Because if you don't lead your mind, something else will. The past will lead it. The fear will lead it. The noise of the world will lead it. But you are here to take the reins back. Not by being perfect, not by getting it right every time, but by choosing again, returning again, breathing again. Every thought is just a story, and you are not the story. You are the one who sees it. And that awareness, that quiet witness inside you, it is stronger than anything you will ever face. When you feel lost, return to it. When your thoughts spiral, anchor yourself in it. You are not here to fight your mind. You are here to guide it, gently, firmly, patiently. And it will resist. It will argue. It will panic. That's okay. That's part of the process. Let it be loud, and stay quiet. Let it spin, and stay grounded. Let it shout, and whisper back, I hear you, but I will not follow. Because your mind is not the captain. You are. And every time you choose presence over panic, you remind it who's in charge. It may forget again. That's all right. Your job is not to force obedience. Your job is to keep returning to clarity. Again and again and again. The Stoics had a word for this practice, prohairesis. It meant your moral will, your inner power, the space where nothing and no one could touch you, not even your thoughts. That's your true home. Not in the future, not in the past, not in the stories your mind creates, but here, now, in this breath, this pause, this choice. You do not need to understand everything you're feeling in order to be okay. You do not need to fix every thought in order to find peace. You simply need to observe it, accept it, and return to yourself. This is the way of the Stoic. Not cold, not distant, but centered. They felt deeply, but they didn't let feelings define them. They thought often, but they didn't let thoughts consume them. And when life became too loud, they returned to the one place that was always still, their own awareness. You can do the same, right now, right here. Close your eyes if you'd like. Breathe. Let the world fall away just for a moment. No deadlines, no pressure, no stories. Just this breath, this space, this quiet. You are enough here. You are safe here. You are in control here. Not because the mind is silent, but because you are listening without judgment. That's the key. That's the path. Not to push away your thoughts, but to see them fully and still choose peace. Let them pass like clouds in the sky. You are the sky. The thoughts are just weather. And no matter how dark it gets, the sky is always still there. Still, vast, unchanged. So is your awareness. It does not break when your thoughts are heavy. It does not waver when your emotions crash. It remains, always, patient, waiting, ready for you to return. So return now, again, and again, and again, because that is how you build strength. That is how you take back your mind. Not in one moment of power, but in 1,000 quiet ones, 1,000 breathes, 1,000 gentle no's to thoughts that once ruled you. And slowly, everything begins to change. Not because the world gets easier, but because you become steadier. And steadiness? That's what you've been looking for. Not excitement, not escape, not perfection, just steadiness. The kind that stays calm when the world shakes. The kind that sees clearly when the mind spins. The kind that trusts even when it doesn't know what's next. That is what Stoic control feels like. Feels like grace. feels like quiet power. It feels like coming home to yourself. No matter where you are, no matter what's happening, no matter what the mind says, because now you don't believe everything you think. You don't chase every feeling. You don't fear every thought. You watch. You choose. You lead. That is how you rise. That is how you heal. That is how you find peace, not someday, but now. Right here, in this breath, this choice, this silence. And in the end, you'll realize it was never about controlling the mind perfectly. It was about staying with yourself no matter how imperfectly the mind behaved. That is control. That is freedom. That is peace. You don't need to win against your mind. You only need to witness it. The mind is like a river, constantly flowing, always moving. But you are not the current. You are the one standing at the edge watching it pass. And the moment you forget that, the moment you jump into the water trying to grab every thought, control every wave, you drown. Not in reality, but in your reaction to it. So step back. Let the river run. Let the thoughts come and let them go. This is the art of Stoic control. Not to stop the water, but to stay still beside it. To breathe as it passes. To trust that no thought is permanent. No feeling is final. No moment defines your whole life. You are bigger than what you're thinking. You are steadier than what you're feeling. And you are freer than what your fear is telling you. You don't have to believe every story your mind creates. You don't have to argue with every emotion that shows up. You don't have to fix everything before you can feel peace. You only have to remember that you are not your mind. You are the observer of it. And the observer is always free. In every situation, the Stoics return to one question. What is mine to control? Not what is fair. Not what is easy. Not what feels good. But what is mine to control? That question brings you back. Back to your center. Back to your truth. Back to the only power that can never be taken from you, your response. And your response? It begins inside. Not in the words you speak, but in the silence you choose. Not in what you do, but in how you see. You see, the mind gets loud when it feels unsafe. It spins, it clings, it plans, it overreacts because it's trying to protect you. Even the anxious thoughts are just attempts to help. But you don't have to follow them. You can thank them and let them go. You can say, I know you're trying to keep me safe, but I choose to lead now. You can lead with calm, lead with breath, lead with stillness. You don't fight the mind by force. You soften it with presence. You dissolve it with clarity. You heal it with space. So much space between you and your reactions, between your fear and your choices, between what happens and what you decide it means. This is what Stoicism teaches us, that control is an inner discipline, not a shield from life, but a strength within it. The world can shout, the emotions can rise, the thoughts can rush, but your response, that is sacred, that is untouchable, that is yours, and you protect it with practice. Every time you pause before reacting, every time you breathe before speaking, every time you choose presence over panic, you grow stronger, not louder, not faster, stronger, stronger like roots deep in the ground, strong like a mountain that watches the storm, strong like the ocean that holds both peace and power without ever being defined by the waves. You don't have to chase control. You just have to stop giving it away. To anger, to doubt, to fear, to regret. Let them knock at the door. Let them cry and scream, but don't invite them in. Don't give them your attention. Don't give them your identity. You are not your past. You are not your fear. You are not your failure. You are the one who chooses what comes next. Even now, even here, even in the middle of it all, especially in the middle of it all, because this is where your power lives. Not in perfect circumstances, but in imperfect moments where you choose peace anyway, where you choose grace anyway, where you choose self-control not because it's easy, but because it's yours. Yours to hold, yours to protect, yours to return to. And yes, you will forget. Yes, you will fall. Yes, you will lose your center sometimes. But you will also rise, return, rebuild. That is strength. That is resilience. That is the practice. You don't need to escape your thoughts. You need to learn how to sit beside them without losing yourself. To say, "You're allowed to be here, but I no longer serve you. You can speak, but I don't have to believe you. You can stay, but I don't have to follow." That is control. Not the kind that grips, the kind that releases, not the kind that dominates, the kind that guides. This is your practice now. Every breath, a return. Every pause, a reclaiming. Every moment of awareness, a soft act of revolution. And slowly, the storm begins to quiet, not because the weather changes, but because you do. You no longer react to the thunder. You no longer fear the wind. You simply witness, and choose, and lead, and live. That's the essence of Stoicism. Not detachment from life, but deeper engagement with it. Not coldness, but clarity. Not numbness, but presence. And with presence comes peace. Even in chaos, even in heartbreak, even in confusion, there is peace. Because peace does not come from the world. Comes from within. Comes from your decision to sit still while everything else moves. To breathe slowly while everything else rushes. To respond wisely while everything else screams for reaction. This is how you protect your mind. Not by closing it, by strengthening it, by calming it, by leading it, moment by moment, thought by thought, choice by choice. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to remember that fear is a guest, not your master. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to return to your principles when you drift. You don't need to silence the mind. You just need to see it clearly. And once you do, everything changes. Because you are no longer inside the storm. You are watching it from the center of your own calm. That calm has been with you all along. Waiting for you to remember, you are not your thoughts. You are not your fear. You are not your anger. You are the one who chooses. And that choice, even if small, even if quiet, is what makes you free. Breathe. You're not late to your peace. You're just early to your awareness. There is no race, no deadline for healing, no pressure to be perfect. You're allowed to go slow. You're allowed to be soft. You're allowed to begin again, even here, even now, especially now. Because now is the only place you can truly choose. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, just now. And in this moment, the path is clear. You don't need to silence your mind. You need to listen to it without becoming it. Watch what it says. Watch what it fears. Watch what it demands. And then ask yourself, does this deserve my energy? Does this deserve my truth? Does this deserve to lead me? You see, the mind is like a child, loud, curious, impulsive, afraid. But you are not the child. You are the parent. You are the guide. And your job is not to obey every thought. Your job is to lead with calm, to lead with patience, to lead with vision. That is the essence of control, not force. Awareness. When you stop fighting your thoughts, they lose their power. When you stop fearing your emotions, they soften. And when you stop reacting, you begin to see clearly. There's a truth that the Stoics understood deeply. Nothing can disturb your peace unless you let it. Not rejection, not failure, not opinion, not uncertainty. These things exist. They hurt, they confuse, they sting. But they do not have power until you hand it to them. You are not powerless. You are not broken. You are not at the mercy of your mind. You are at the beginning of your strength. Right here, right in the middle of the discomfort. This is where power begins, not when things are easy, but when they're not. Because anyone can be calm when life is calm. But to be calm in chaos, to be steady in discomfort, to be still in the middle of noise, that is mastery. And it's not about perfection. It's about practice. Returning again and again to your breath, to your values, to your center. That's what control means in Stoicism. It's not about making the world submit. It's about mastering your own response no matter what the world does. It's about saying, you may insult me, but I choose not to carry your words. You may reject me, but I do not reject myself. You may misunderstand me, but I will not betray my peace just to be understood. Control is not in dominating others. It's in not letting them dominate your inner state. And that takes practice, daily, hourly, sometimes minute by minute, because the mind will test you. It will whisper fear. It will replay old pain. It will panic about things that haven't happened yet. And when it does, pause, breathe, and ask, is this helping me lead? Is this thought building or breaking my peace? Is this emotion a compass or just a storm? Because not every feeling is guidance, and not every thought is truth. The Stoics remind us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You are not what happens to you. You are what you choose in response. And every time you choose peace, you get stronger. Every time you choose perspective, you get clearer. Every time you choose restraint, you get freer. Because your freedom doesn't come from escaping discomfort. It comes from standing inside it and choosing your values anyway. So if your mind is loud right now, if your emotions are heavy, if your fear is trying to take the wheel, pause. Don't fight it. Don't feed it. Don't believe it. Just watch it. Breathe through it. Let it pass through you, like wind through open hands. You are not the wind. You are the stillness behind it, the witness, the quiet center. And the more you return to that place, the more you realize you never needed to control everything. You only needed to control one thing. You, not forever, not perfectly, just now, just this moment, just one breath at a time. That's where real control lives. In how you speak to yourself when things go wrong. In how you choose patience when you feel rushed. In how you offer kindness when anger would be easier. That is strength. That is resilience. That is Stoicism in practice. And you don't have to do it all at once. You just have to begin. Begin by asking, what is mine to control right now? Your posture, your breath, your next thought, your next word. That's where freedom begins. That's where peace is born. Not from controlling the world, but from mastering your response to it. And every time you return to this practice, you come home to yourself, to the you that isn't ruled by fear, to the you that doesn't get pulled into every thought, to the you that knows you are allowed to rest, you are allowed to begin again, you are allowed to feel everything and still choose peace. This is what it means to control your mind, not by force, but by awareness, by compassion, by discipline, and most of all by remembering you are not here to be perfect. You are here to be present. That's enough. That's always enough. You are not behind in life. You are not too late for peace. You are not too far from strength. You are exactly where awareness begins. Right here, right now, still breathing, still able to choose. That's what Stoicism gives you, the power to choose who you are, even when the world is not what you hoped it would be. Even when people disappoint you. Even when your mind is tired. Even when you feel like giving up. Especially then, because that's when the voice of your inner strength speaks. Quiet, calm, clear. And it says, breathe. You're safe. You're still here. You don't need to be fearless to control your mind. You need to let fear pass without inviting it to stay. You don't need to be unaffected. You just need to respond with intention instead of reaction. You are not your panic. You are not your overthinking. You are not your darkest moment. You are the space around it, the stillness underneath it. And every time you pause, every time you don't react, you step back into that space, into that power. The mind wants you to chase control, but Stoicism shows you how to return to it by letting go of what doesn't belong to you, letting go of what others think, letting go of the past you couldn't fix, letting go of futures you cannot promise, and holding on to what's real, your breath, your values, your next decision. That's all. You don't need a perfect mind to live a peaceful life. You just need practice. Gentle, steady practice. The practice of asking, what am I giving energy to that doesn't deserve it? What can I release instead of carry? Who do I want to be in this moment, no matter what happens next? These are the questions that bring you home. Home to presence. home to peace, home to the person you always were underneath the noise, because you are not fragile. You are not broken. You are not defined by how loud your thoughts get. You are defined by what you do with them. You can watch a storm without stepping into it. You can feel anxiety without feeding it. You can sit beside fear and still choose courage. That's control. Not silence, but sovereignty. Not perfection, but peace within imperfection. You'll be tested. Every day, your thoughts will try to rush you. Your emotions will try to lead you. Your fears will try to stop you. But you don't have to obey. You don't have to chase. You don't have to fix everything. You just have to notice and choose. That's the core of Stoic discipline, not to fight every thought, but to filter them, to let what's helpful stay, and let what's harmful pass. Like this, painful memory appears. Instead of replaying it, you say, I've already lived this once. I don't need to live it again. An anxious thought rises. Instead of spiraling, you breathe and say, this hasn't happened. It may never happen. I choose presence. A criticism stings. Instead of defending, you pause and ask, does this reflect truth or someone else's pain? That's strength. That's control. Not in shutting down, but in staying open without being pulled apart. You are not your pain. You are not your fear. You are not even your thoughts. You are the awareness beneath them, the calm center, the inner fire, and that fire cannot be extinguished by the winds of circumstance. Not if you return to it daily, like a lighthouse that never moves, even when the sea rages, even when the fog is thick, even when the night feels endless. Your mind will wander, let it, and then gently call it home, again and again. No judgment, no rush, no shame, just presence. Because it's not about controlling everything in your mind. It's about controlling what you believe, what you hold, what you become. The Stoics remind us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. So when the world moves too fast, when your thoughts spin too loud, when the pressure builds and you want to run, pause, breathe, feel your feet on the ground, and ask yourself, what part of this is mine to carry? Because most of what we suffer isn't real. It's memory, it's projection, it's fear dressed as truth. But your awareness is wiser than that. It knows the difference, and it's here now, choosing, leading, trusting, letting go of what isn't yours, and holding with quiet courage what is your response, your integrity, your breath, your peace. That's enough. That's more than enough.